Welcome back, Focus learners. So, if you're looking to totally demystify the frankly massive world of project management, or maybe you're gearing up to conquer that tricky situational logic on the PMP exam, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today's explainer is designed to just cut right through the noise. We're going to break down the core foundations, the modern principles, and, really importantly, the exact mindset you need to navigate literally any project scenario with absolute confidence.
To make sure we avoid any cognitive overload, we've structured our agenda as a sort of pillars of mastery framework. We'll cover 1. What is a project? 2. The 5 focus areas. 3. Choosing your methodology. 4. Principles and performance domains. And finally, 5. The PMP exam mindset. We're going to layer these concepts logically, so everything just naturally clicks right into place.
Section 1. What is a project? Defining the fundamental building blocks of organizational change. Okay, let's dive into this very first foundational pillar. Before you can effectively manage anything, you really have to know what you're dealing with, right? So a project is a temporary endeavor with a defined beginning and end, designed to create a unique product, service, or result. I really want you to focus on those two words, temporary and unique. Projects are absolutely not meant to last forever. They are the core vehicles that organizations use to drive themselves out of their current state and push into a desired, much more valuable future state.
It's actually incredibly helpful to contrast projects with operations. If projects are these temporary, unique value creators that drive change, well, operations are the exact opposite. Operations are those ongoing, repetitive tasks that just sustain the everyday business. Let's think about a healthcare metaphor to make this super concrete. Say your organization is building a brand new, custom healthcare software system. That is a project. It has a launch date, and it creates something entirely new. But once that software goes live, the daily IT help desk that manages user tickets and keeps everything running, yeah, that's operations.
Section 2. The 5 focus areas. The life cycle and roadmap of every project. Now that we've nailed down what a project actually is, we need to figure out how it moves forward.
So every single project, no matter how big it is or what industry it's in, flows through what we call the 5 focus areas, which, by the way, were historically known as project groups. We've got initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. But here is what's absolutely vital to grasp. These aren't just rigid step-by-step boxes that you tick off and forget about. No way. They interact dynamically and they overlap all the time. For example, in the initiating phase, you aren't actually doing the project work yet. You're busy creating a project charter to get that formal authority and resources from your sponsor. It's like a roadmap that keeps your temporary endeavor safely on track.
Section 3. Choosing your methodology. Strategic approaches to development. Because, reality check, not all projects are built the very same way. Let's look at strategic tailoring.
Tailoring is honestly the secret sauce of modern project management. It's this absolutely critical skill of choosing the right development approach based on your project's specific reality. You've got to ask yourself things like, how uncertain are our requirements? How innovative is this product we're building? And how easy is it going to be to make changes later on? You just can't use a one-size-fits-all approach. You literally have to tailor your strategy to fit the environment.
And this brilliantly illustrates what tailoring looks like in the real world. We have 3 main methodologies: predictive, agile, and hybrid. Predictive, often called waterfall, is for when your requirements are super stable and crystal clear from day one. Agile, or adaptive, is for those high uncertainty environments where you need to build and deliver value incrementally. And hybrid, well, that's a blend of both. Take a medical device, for example. If you're building one, you'd absolutely use a predictive method for the physical hardware, right? Because it has to meet incredibly strict FDA regulations. You cannot just wing that. But for the device's software interface, where user feedback is constantly evolving, you'd tailor your approach and use Agile for that piece. That is the sheer power of a hybrid methodology.
Section 4. Principles and performance domains. The modern project manager's behavioral compass. Okay, we've talked a lot about the mechanics, but now we really need to shift the narrative to why modern project managers behave the way they do.
You see, the standards for project management have evolved massively over the years. Back in the day, especially with the PMP-July 6th edition, the focus was heavily process-based. It was all about struct rule-bound mechanics, 10 knowledge areas and just endless inputs, tools, and outputs. But eventually, the profession woke up and realized that just blindly following rules doesn't actually guarantee success. So, the 7th edition brought a massive shift to a principle-based approach, giving us 12 principles that act as a compass for behavior and mindset. And today, moving into the 8th edition, the whole standard is completely outcome-oriented. It's all about building empowered cultures and looking at the organization holistically. We've essentially moved away from strict compliance and embraced flexible, value-driven leadership.
So to actually apply those modern principles, we rely on the 8 performance domains. The days of those siloed, isolated knowledge areas are totally gone. I want you to think of these 8 domains as interconnected gears running concurrently throughout the entire life cycle of your project. Take the uncertainty domain, for example. That is not just a single step you check off once. It's this continuous, ongoing area of focus where your team is constantly spotting potential risks early and figuring out response plans. These domains are basically the engine, the mechanics, where your leadership principles get put into real action to drive those final outcomes.
Just consider the focus on value principle for a second. This ensures that the team is always prioritizing work that delivers the absolute most business benefit, even if, and this is huge, even if it means completely changing the original plan. That is a massive paradigm shift. It proves that proactive servant leadership and delivering tangible value will always trump stubbornly sticking to some outdated plan just to tick a compliance box.
Section 5, the PMP exam mindset, the ultimate strategy for situational logic. All right, we have reached the climax of our explainer. We've got the foundations, the roadmap, the strategy, and the principles. Now it's time to arm you with the ultimate strategy for conquering the situational logic of the PMP exam, and, frankly, for handling real-world crises.
Listen, if you take away just one single thing from this entire explainer, please let it be the golden rule of project management. As a PM, you absolutely must embody proactive servant leadership. But right alongside that is the never act first rule. As humans, our instinct is usually that when a problem pops up, we need to immediately jump right in and fix it. Well, on the exam and out there in reality, that instinct is a total trap. A master project manager never ever takes action or makes a sweeping decision without having the data first.
To dodge that trap, you need a secret weapon. I like to call it the ART logic. Step 1 is assess. You've got to investigate to uncover the actual root cause of whatever is going wrong. Step 2 is review. You open up that project management plan and your documents to see exactly what your established procedures dictate. Only after you've completed those 2 steps do you move on to step 3, which is act. This is where you finally put a solution into play or initiate a formal change request or maybe escalate it to management if you have to. Assess, review, then act.
Let's put this into a practical scenario. Imagine you just found out that a key team member is completely ignoring safety procedures. Your gut impulse might be to fire them on the spot, or immediately report them to the sponsor, right? But if we apply our ART logic, your very first step must be to meet with them privately to figure out why it's happening. That's your assessment phase. Are they lacking training? Are the procedures themselves actually broken? So the crucial point is that this structured mindset totally prevents rash, destructive decisions. It ensures you're acting on actual facts, and it perfectly embodies what it means to be a true servant leader.
We have covered a lot of ground. The foundational building blocks, the strategic methodologies, the big shift toward value-driven domains, and the absolute critical mechanics of situational logic. As you push forward with your PMP studies, or maybe head back to lead your own real-world teams, I want to leave you with this final thought. When that inevitable project crisis eventually hits, will you ART your way to success by assessing and reviewing first, or will you fall into the costly trap of acting blindly without data? Keep this structured mindset front and center, and you are going to be well on your way to mastering project management. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.